Hello everybody. Welcome to this launch of this great event. This is so exciting to be at this point now with Hastings Deering and QUT in this collaboration. This has been a long time coming. There's been some really, a lot of discussion, a lot of planning, a lot of visioning, making it a verb, a lot of envisaging about what the future might look like through this collaboration. So this project, I'm going to invite Charlie to talk about the project in a minute. I'm going to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land here at QUT, the Yagara and Turnbull people. This land has always been a place of learning and teaching, and we are proud to be part of that. We pay our respects to the elders, past, emerging, and current, and we aim to follow the tradition of good teaching and learning here. And in terms of teaching and learning then, this kind of collaboration is exactly what we envisage for our students and for our academics here and for our research. This kind of partnership between industry and university, between research and practice, the translation of what we can do together is really exciting. And it's ventures like this that enable us to think about the future and also to give our students the ways that they can think about what they can be in the future. So as our industries change and as our world changes, as digital and data become focal points for the world, then these kinds of relationships become more and more important. So I'm going to call on now Charlie to give a brief overview of the project, and then I'm going to call on Simon to come and give this an overview of the project from the perspective of Hastings Deering. So firstly Charlie, and then Simon. Please.
Thanks, Kerry. So this partnership started to be discussed over a year ago, maybe even longer, and it was a long time to scope out the projects, but we have got 4 key projects that we're going to deliver over 3.5 years. They'll be delivered through a postdoc as well as 3 PhD students. And the genesis behind it is that basically will help capacity build, both internally within Hastings Deering, but also within QUT, because we know there's a huge data scientist shortage, so we need to develop those skill sets within Queensland so that we can continue to grow the industry. So the 4 projects that we've got, Project 1 is around data governance, so how do we do data really well? Project 2 is around benefits realisation. What is the return on investment of data science projects? And how do we do them better? Then Project 3 is around market and customer analytics, and Project 4 is around customer personas. So how do we really understand the internal customers who are using data and deliver them information on a real-time, best practice basis? So that's a summary of the partnership. We're very excited for it, and we're looking forward to really getting into it more. We've got Project 1 already started, and the other 3 will roll out over the next few months. So I'll hand back to Kerry.
Okay, just to follow on from Charlie then, sorry Simon, just for 2 seconds. This project is part of, at QUT here, just to complete the picture of QUT then, this project is a part of QUT and also connected with the Centre for Data Science. And so our Centre for Data Science, I neglected to introduce myself, so I'm Kerry Mengerson. I'm a Distinguished Professor of Statistics here at QUT and the Director of the Centre for Data Science. So our centre here goes across the university, and the fundamental component of the centre is data and extracting knowledge from data. And so that then goes across from engineering through to business, through to science, through to health, through creative industries, bringing all of those across the university, those different diverse perspectives on applications and challenges and methods and tools related to data. So we have about 100 researchers in the centre. We have about 80 odd, they're not odd, I should say, they're about 80 HDR students, some of whom are here. We're very fortunate to have that great capacity within QUT, and that's certainly something that I think reflects the the interest in this area and the pervasiveness of data and digital in our across all of the areas that across the university. So we're bringing that as the sort of the support behind this project, and we're hoping that we can embed this collaboration into the centre, and as I said, to be able to connect with our other partners and also with our students as well, and to grow this community for the future. So I'll stop talking now and I will hand over to Simon.
Thank you, Kerry, and good morning, everyone. So I haven't met most people here. So my name's Simon Turnbull. I'm the Executive Manager for Customer Support for Hastings Deering. And before we get going, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet on here today and pay respect to their leaders, elders, past, present and emerging. So I'm a ex-QUT student. I did my undergrad with QUT and my postgrad with QUT before I continued my learning across with Hastings Deering. So I'm really excited and privileged to be able to stand here today to sort of look at the educational experience that personally I've had through my career are now coming together to look at how we can partner together for a better future for our customers, a better future for our industries and a better future for the environment that we operate in today. So Hastings Deering has a really strong heritage. We're 90 years old and we've been doing this for a long time. Our focus over the past 90 years has very much been on technical experience. So we're an industry around products, we're an industry around making sure those products continue to work. But we're very much in an exciting period in the world at the moment where we're very data driven. We've got a lot of data coming into our organisation on a day-to-day basis. And it's time now that we look to that data to say how do we sustain ourselves and how do we make ourselves more relevant not only with our customers but our industry and the environment for the next 90 years. So we do operate in an environment where our customers are highly focused on productivity, profitability and sustainability. And the partnership with QUT has really come together to look at how do we work together to be able to provide the benefit and the insights that we need to be able to lead the industry across the way. In terms of the day-to-day operations of our customers, we know where our machines are, we know how much dirt they're moving, we know when they're ready for service. But as an organisation, we were very much at the beginning of the infancy in our data process, a data strategy. So how do we use this data that comes into our organisation from a day-to-day basis to provide those insights, to move from being a supplier to our customers to being a partner and partnering with them for the better future of their organisations and the industries that we work in today. Not only that, we're in election time, so all across the news at the moment is our environmental sustainability and reduction of greenhouse gases in our runs to 2030 or 2040 and 2050. So how do we lead the industry in this? So traditionally we're seen as an organisation that is heavily focused on mining, heavily focused on diesel fitters, but we really want to lead the industry in terms of changing the view of the way that we're seen. So no longer do we just want to supply a product to market. We don't want to be led by legislation and wait for regulators to tell us what we should or shouldn't do. We want to use the data coming from our customers and coming from our machines to be able to make those insights and lead our organisation, lead the industry, and maybe even lead the legislation that governs around us today. So very excited to partner with QUT. As Sime Darby is the investment behind this. Hastings Deering is a Sime Darby company, and we'll hear from some of our other Sime Darby companies today as well in Dakota and Mine Energy Solutions. Really great examples of how we're taking the data that comes out of the industries today to lead ourselves into the future, to partner, as I said, with our industry and our customers to make a real difference. Hastings Deering is a great organisation. I'm a big fan of QUT, obviously. I've been here a couple of times and I'm about to start a third round again. Hastings Deering is a really great organisation. I've been with them for 17 years. So as I said, we're very passionate about what we want to do. We're in the infancy of this journey as we move forward in terms of what are we going to do and what does the next 90 years look like for Hastings Deering. So the next 3 years, at the very least, partnering with QUT is an exciting part to be part of the solutions, lead the industry in all the things that we want to do and develop our company away from being a diesel fitting, mechanical-based organisation into a data-driven, beneficial organisation for our customers, our industry and our environment. So, thank you.
Thanks, Simon. I'm excited. All right, so I'm going to continue that excitement by inviting David Lovell. So Professor David Lovell is a member of an investigator and in our Centre for Data Science. And I'm going to call on David to talk about some of the implications of this for our students and for the university. David.
Thanks, Kerry. I was delighted when Charlie asked if I could say a few words about my experiences of the partnership that we've had with Hastings Deering and QUT Centre for Data Science and why it's important to us. And when I say us, I mean all of us here. So Hastings Deering staff, QUT staff, QUT students. Important to all of us. So this semester I've had the pleasure of working with David Selvin and Simon Turnbull and a group of Master of Data Analytics students as we dig for insights into a small selection of Hastings Deering's data. Now, in broad terms, the students have been asked to explore how this data might yield even greater insight and value in connection with external data. Factors that might influence Hastings Deering's customers and the transactions that they have. This is a great question. It's also a really challenging one, but the experience is incredibly valuable. It's incredibly valuable for our master's students who will be our future data scientists and data analysts. It reinforces that data analysis is the search for meaning, and that data doesn't carry meaning on its own. Meaning comes from understanding how that data came to be. What were the processes that led to the data that we've observed? And the more that we understand that, the more we can interpret the stories that the data tell us. Now, these stories are not always a surprise to the people who know the context and the customers and the business well. But once the volume of business gets beyond a certain point, and once the variety of the customers exceeds a certain diversity, and once the complexity of the operating environment grows and changes beyond a certain point, we need to work with the data and we need to watch the data to understand what it tells us. Does it make sense? Does it fit with our broader understanding of what's happening in the world at large? Do we understand the patterns, the relationships and the structures that we see in the data that we've gathered? And it's that act of working with the data that yields values for businesses like Hastings Deering. So data is a very important lens through which we see the world. Now, the dream is that out of all that data will fall a nugget of pure gold, an insight which suddenly and irrevocably changes things for the better. You know, that can happen, but I think a huge amount of the value in data comes from being able to say, yes, we understand what is going on and why. Yes, we are confident that things are running well. And that, in turn, gives us the confidence to innovate and to try something new. And when we do that, we'll be able to gauge the positive impacts of that innovation through data, along with all the other sources of information that we can avail ourselves of. And that's why I'm excited to be part of this broader partnership between Hastings Deering and the Centre for Data Science so that we can work together, so that we can make sense of data and so that we can use that understanding to do things better. I know that there's a few students from the Master of Data Analytics class here today. They'll be very keen to talk with you about the experience they're having and find out more about Hastings Deering and where the organisation would like to go in its use of data. But yeah, like Kerry, I'm very excited to be here and to celebrate this great partnership. So thank you very much.
Okay, before we start well, I should say before we start the next session, but I'm going to introduce a new section, which is to introduce our students. So I'd like anybody here who's a student here at QUT just to come forward. Do you have any students or postdocs, RAs? Do you have any? Come on. Just come out here to be inspected. You're actually going to be, we're going to have an auction here. Okay, no, I'm only joking. I just want you to see the interest that we have amongst the students here, and so that you can point to them afterwards and connect to them here. So I'm just going to go through quickly. I know people online may not be able to hear all of this, but I'm just going to ask them very quickly to introduce themselves loudly and to just say what their area is of interest. So how do I turn this on? It's on? Okay, all right. Okay, quickly.
Hi everyone, I'm Georgia. I'm a Hastings Deering employee and currently doing postgraduate studies, so great to be here today and understand. And in postgraduate in business management.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Azuma Mahmoudou. I'm doing a PhD in process mining. I'm also looking at impact of process mining. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jesse Sharp. I'm a postdoc in applied math and stats.
Hi, I'm Rob Salamoni. I'm a research fellow in data science. I'm working on clinical decision support using AI for health.
Hello guys, I'm Robin. I'm a master's student of data analytics, and I'm doing some research in Hastings. Hastings data set, use machine learning to find some relationship between features.
Hey, my name's Peter. Like Robin, I'm doing Master of Data Analytics course, part of a project to look at some of Hastings Deering's data from your Toowoomba site to see what kind of insights we can derive from the data.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Mike. I'm 1 month into a PhD with the Centre for Data Science. I am actually looking at sports data, which is really interesting for someone at my age to have that opportunity. I'm here today though because in a past life I've worked in mining and actually worked with Hastings Deering. So when I heard about this partnership, I was really keen to come and learn more about it and see what people are working on.
Hi, I am Ishara. I am a postdoc at CDS and external industry. So I'm developing models to increase the predictive capabilities in livestock supply chain.
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm a postdoctoral research fellow in process science group. I'm actually an investigator in Project 1, data governance for Hastings Deering, and we are looking on assessing and improving the quality of data to support reliable decision making.
Hi all, I'm Dakshi, a postdoctoral research fellow in process science. I'm working on process mining plus text mining because my background is data science, and looking to contribute to Hastings Deering project in future. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Wilson and I'm studying Master of Data Analytics in my final semester, and I also one of the research assistant from Dr. Shali, working on Olympic and Commonwealth Games, taking some insight from those texts, and also I have a couple experience about in healthcare area to find have high quality patient notes and improve the healthcare area. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeannie Huang, and I'm currently studying also the Master of Data Analytics here at QUT. I'm currently a research assistant under the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering and working under a project that was funded by TMR, trying to find the contributors of different car crash and accidents. Very excited to be here. Thank you.
G'day, my name is Vibhor. I'm doing a PhD with Centre of Data Science in policy engineering, which is helping government and policy designers to design mission-oriented policies and create public value. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mac. Currently, I'm studying at Master of Data Analytics and about to work on the mining industry. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amit Dew. I am a part-time student at Master of IT in QUT, and I work on projects with Dr. Charlie, and they have been from mining sector, and my passion is about actionable insights, so whichever project kind of gives me that opportunity to learn and add value, I normally dive into it. Thank you.
Well, you can see what the great range of students we have capability here, and thank you very much, everybody. That was an impromptu call on you, so I appreciate you coming forward. Thank you. All right. No pressure to the panel, but these are the people that are going to be looking up to this project and to the panel now, which we're going to call forward. So these seats here are for our panel members. We're going to have a quick conversation with a few of the people from QUT and from Hastings Deering and their partners. So I would like to call on our panel members. The first panellist is George Spink. So George is the Executive General Manager of Dakota. So George is a leading provider of data and analytics solutions, Dakota, sorry, and you, I guess. Yeah, so is a leading provider of data and analytics solutions, working with mine sites around the world to achieve their mine plans and run more efficient and productive operations. Through extensive technical capability, broad industry expertise, and revolutionary technology, Dakota is helping to bring the mining industry into the future. So that's fantastic. George, would you like to add anything to that?
That'd be more than enough.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, so Dr. Kanika Goel. So Kanika is an information technology researcher at the School of Information Systems here at QUT. She's a member of the Data for Discovery program in the Centre for Data Science, and her expertise lies in data governance, data quality, process-oriented data mining, and process management. She conducts industry-informed research projects with partners in healthcare, education, asset management, retail, and construction equipment. Thank you. Kanika, would you like to add anything? Okay, all right, good. Right, so next is Shane Lennon. So Shane is our Executive Manager for Digital Solutions for Sime Darby Industrial Australasia. So Shane, Sime Darby is a leader in the heavy equipment business. They represent Caterpillar and a range of allied brands. So it's among the world's largest Caterpillar dealers, offering a comprehensive range of industrial solutions through 15 countries and territories in the Asia-Pacific region. And as Executive Manager for Digital Solutions, Shane is responsible for developing and executing Sime Darby's digital and innovation strategy in order to provide business growth by delivering leading digital experiences to customers and employers. Do you want to say anything more, Shane? Okay, all right, good. So next we have one of the stars of this project, Dr. Charlie McLennan, who you've heard from already. Charlie is a Senior Research Fellow in the School of Management at QUT. She's the chair of this partnership, an Advanced Queensland Research Fellow, and a co-lead of the Social Systems domain in the Centre for Data Science. Her research focuses on major infrastructure and program evaluation, tourism economics, and business data science transformations. Thank you, Charlie, for joining us. And our next seat, our last seat, is for Adrian Abbott, who's CEO for Mine Energy Solutions. So Mine Energy Solutions is an incorporated joint venture between Sime Darby, a Malaysian-based multinational corporation, and Intelligis, which is a Queensland-based gas technology company. So this partnership combines first-world innovation with the balance sheet strength necessary to deliver customers a complete, high-density, compressed natural gas supply solution for mobile mining equipment. So we have in front of us here an awesome panel to be talking about this program. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. So as panels usually run, what I'm going to do is ask a series of questions, and I'm going to target the question to each one of these people, but then anybody else is welcome to answer to that question as well. Okay, so if you'd like to take the question on and add to it, then feel free to do that. I had suggested, or had envisaged originally, that we could spread them around the room, and as they answered a question and they liked the question, we could move them together. But they've spared that gymnastics because of the people online who we need them to sit here. So they were relieved about that they weren't having to do that kind of little activity. But what you can do mentally when you're listening to them is to think about, at the moment, they are spread out. Okay, we've got this diverse set of interests here, and what we're going to see is how we can bring them together. So mentally, how are they going to come together to form this kind of partnership? Why are they here? Okay, when they come from these areas. So we're going to ask George this question first. So George, why are you here? Which is, can you tell us why this partnership is important for Hastings Deering and the Sime Darby Group?
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. A lot of people think of Hastings Deering as selling machines and in the sort of the heavy industry and perhaps a bit of an old traditional business. But that's far from the truth. And what we're seeing more and more from our customers are the machines are almost the table stakes. They're the base commodity, if you like, you need to operate. And it's really the drive from customers for what the machines are doing, from simplistically where are my machine through to how productive are machines. And the way we're doing that is through using connected assets, harvesting the data from those machines, and then we can give the customer the insights so they can actually have a decision support model on what to do with their machines. So heavily emphasised around data and analytics, and I was very excited about this partnership because that's where our future is going. Yes, machines are necessary, but what the machines are doing and how productive they are is key, and the data and analytics are unlocking that opportunity for us.
Okay, thanks very much. So George, just following on from that then, I'm going to ask Shane. So Shane, what's the current state of digital transformation within the Sime Darby Group?
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. And I just quickly say I'm really pleased to be here. Great opportunity, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. I think to help answer that question, I'd probably just quickly contextualise our business a little bit. Simon touched on our geographical footprint, and as much as that's a strength for us, it's also presents a number of challenges that we face into when we've got businesses spread across geographic boundaries. That presents non-standardised processes. It makes it difficult for us to easily exchange data between those areas. So, and I think the traditional approach to our business is very much a relationship-based business. But now as we move into a world where technology is advancing, processing power is enormous, we've got changing customer behaviours, we've got connected machines to what George was talking about. How do we start to leverage all of that collectively to provide new insights, new propositions, compelling experiences for our customers and our employees? And I think that's our real opportunity. And I guess my take on from a data perspective, underpinning all of that is data's the currency, if you like, that underpins those experiences. So how do we find... I take the analogy used at the start by David, I think, around meaning from the data that's coming out. I think we're not short of data. The opportunity is how do we use what we've got and identify those insights and reshape where we're going. And I think I'm quite excited on the journey that we've been on as a business. We're probably 5 years into our digital transformation, and in particular in the last couple of years we've really invested quite heavily in building that capability. So with some of the products that we've released to this point across both customer and employee, it absolutely gives me a lot of confidence that we're headed in a real positive direction.
Okay, thanks very much. So just following on from that then, Adrian, I'm going to ask a question of you. I'm going to ask, so can you tell us a bit more about what's happening at the cutting edge of data analytics in the mining sector?
Happy to talk about myself. I've got a tremendous privilege where I'm commercialising technology at the moment. We've done 5 or 6 years of research and development around a range of technologies to assist the resource sector to decarbonise effectively, and also the other challenge of not only assisting them to go down that pathway, but if it's not financially or economically sustainable, it makes it very challenging for them to compete in a global and a very competitive market. So the data sets that we've got for ourselves, at least, is we're taking a range of information from our mining clients, equipment such as Caterpillar and a range of other original equipment manufacturers, looking at optimising some of that data. And then we're harvesting or using an indigenous gas, so coal seam gas, to offset diesel, so imported product into Australia. So you join all of those things together, and it's a wonderful story for the clients. But it's how do we gather all that and reflect that back to the client so he can then see the true value of that opportunity. So we're converting the equipment, looking at incredibly complex supply chains as well to establish different fuels, both here and untapped at this stage. Actually, at the moment we have a client up in central Queensland. We're very, very excited where they'll be harvesting their own fugitive gas from that mine and be offsetting imported diesel to the tune of, the equivalent of about 30 million litres of diesel just for that one site a year. A tremendous commercial benefit, tremendous outcome for the environment, and also decarbonisation. And if you can imagine all of the resources and the technical experts and the talent that I have at my fingertips in our business, it's extraordinary. And we're working with mechatronics engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, a lot of IT, and you collaborate collectively on what's meaningful for our clients. And then we squeeze all them together. I mean, we've got such an exciting future and a range of skills to be able to be pointed at delivering some incredibly complex problems. So I'm very happy to talk about myself, but this I see as a great opportunity and a privilege to be with you all today, and happy to take any questions around any of those through the course of the discussion.
Okay, thank you. So we've heard that there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of interest in developing data, to use data and to be developing data-driven solutions. So I'm going to ask Charlie now, why are you here? If there is all of this interest and there's a lot of activity in this space, then what are the challenges that are facing organisations that are trying to move into this data-driven decision-making area?
Thanks, Kerry. Is this working? Yeah. So the whole point behind data science for businesses is increasingly gaining a competitive advantage. And so what's important for businesses to be able to adopt data science is to have good people within their organisations, and that's where universities can play a key role, because we obviously train a lot of people in data science, and we can help support industry in that way by delivering great students at the cutting edge, and also partnering with them to do research projects, because then we're able to help impart some of our expertise, global knowledge, and help businesses derive greater competitive advantage.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. So I'm going to turn now to Kanika, because one of the main projects here and one of the main areas of interest is in data governance and quality. So I'd like to ask you, Kanika, this is your area. So what's one of the cutting-edge best practices around data governance and data quality? And where is that field heading? And I won't interrupt anymore. I'll let you talk.
Thank you, Kerry. Well, one of the recurring themes in the talks by George, Shane, and Adrian was data insights. And as we can, if we want some good insights, if we want quality-informed insights, it's quite evident that we want our data to be good, of good quality, which is where data governance comes into play. And it's only recently in my research that I found that data governance is being of increasing significance, just because it's being considered as a strategic asset by organizations for decision making. So I would say of late what I found is data governance is of increasing significance, and it's being the people are getting the buy-in of the upper management to actually implement it in the organization, which was difficult much earlier. Additionally, I also feel that there's a need for a systemized and standardized data quality assessment program, which is where data ops come into play. There are a number of frameworks which are being proposed by academics as well as industry, and there are standards which have been defined. For example, the one by DAMA, which is quite popular and is being used by industries now to assess how far they have their maturity of data governance, and that's something that we'll be using in this project with Hastings Deering as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Kanika. If anybody online has any questions, then please put them into the chat. I can see them here, so please. And people who are in the room here, if you have a burning question, then hold it for a little while, and then I'll ask you to come forward and ask the question of the panel. But I'm going to turn again to Adrian because he likes talking about himself. But I'm going to ask him, like, you talked about reducing emissions and decarbonising the mining industry, but like, what's data got to do with that? And do you have enough people to do whatever it is that you want to do with the data?
The data is everything. And I have not enough talent in the business. At the moment, we're, as I said, we're commercialising in a range of geographies globally. The interest around this is overwhelmingly positive. You know, the globe and the drive around decarbonisation is going at such a rate and such momentum that, you know, that there's no slowing this interest, quite rightly. During this process, auditing that data or generating the data, harvesting, generating the data, interrogating the data, and presenting that in a manner that is auditable and defensible is paramount to every generator of that of emissions. In our instance, the regulators, to the boards of directors of every company around the world committed to this, and also to government. And that data must be, you know, absolutely exact, perfect and defensible. And there will be far more rigour around this as we go forward. So this is just, in my view, you know, an emerging industry and an emerging opportunity for talent and you know, grads and young people today. So yeah, for us as well, we've got the privilege of commercialising some technology that can really turn the dial globally for the resource sector. But we really need to underpin that with good data and presented that correctly, and that it has to be defensible. Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Shane now to follow up on that and talk about how are you growing the data capabilities within your business units, and what sort of role do you see data playing in your business?
I guess to answer the question initially, the first question, I think we're probably very much at the beginning of our journey. We're very much in our infancy, I guess, on data and where we go, coming out of kindergarten, if you like. And I think partnerships like this, though, are fantastic opportunities for us to really leverage the expertise and the capabilities that are coming through and help us as an enterprise and where we need to go. And I think, you know, to Adrian's point around, you know, data is everywhere, I think that's absolutely key. I sort of go back to the analogy I used before. We're not short of data. We have a massive amount, and the challenge is, where do you start? A basic example, I guess, that we've done more recently was around aged debtors and looking at some of our accounts receivable and thinking about behavioural trends that are occurring or data points that we can bring together to see if we can predict what's been going on. And we leveraged advanced data analytics through our team to identify opportunities there, and that's obviously subsequently led to a result in a reduction of our aged debtors. So a good benefit for the customer and equally a benefit for us as an organisation. So I think that's just one very basic example, but there's certainly lots of other opportunities. When I think about connected machines, I think about the channels and the sources that customers engage with us. How do you start bringing all of those data points together to start providing a singular customer view? That is very powerful, but also very difficult for us to achieve. And then, building on that, how do you start making the call to action easy off the back of that information? So it's not just about surfacing an insight, it's actually creating actionable insights on the top of that. Think about booking a service online, or I want to immediately connect with my sales representative or support representative. They're the opportunities that sound simple, but how do you start to bring that together in an ecosystem and really leveraging data throughout your environments you're operating in?
Oh, thanks very much. It's just music to my ears listening to this from a Centre for Data Science perspective, and thinking about smart data and intelligent decisions based on those data. And some of the exciting applications of this in the different areas. And I'm going to ask George then, going to ask George, can you tell us something exciting that's happening with data and data science in your organisation?
Yeah, definitely, Kerry. So Dakota's still pretty new in the market, and we're sort of in that commercialisation phase as well, a bit behind where Adrian's at. But if you get you to think about mining for a second and where the excitement from my perspective is, we've talked about machines today. Machines, if you like, at the first level, and they're the fundamental tool to do excavation or mine rehabilitation or what have you. The machines then work in a process. So you might have a load and haul process or a drill and blast or the processing of the ore body. And then there's the enterprise level. The exciting bit for me where Dakota's trying to go and where the industry has been trying to solve this problem for the last 20 years or more and hasn't yet been solved. At the moment, everyone's talking about automation, so we can put autonomous trucks on. My team was the first team on this side of the country to install autonomous trucks. So we've got trucks running around mine sites now without drivers. And everyone's been talking about autonomy. So now inside a process, those machines are working in autonomy, which is fine. But where the data science and the data analytics, decision support-based models and AI is really going to start to kick in is at that enterprise level, so the top level across the mining value chain. For as long as mining's existed, it's operated in its silos. So the drill and blast team works separately to the load and haul team, to the dragline team, to the processing team, to the train loader. They actually don't work together. They're all part of one enterprise, but they actually measured their success is how well their individual silo works. So if you come into the data science and the data analytics side, if we can join those individual and quite large silos in a mining company to work together as one homogenous or system engineering type thinking and work as one system, that could unlock potential of significant productivity improvements for miners. Globally, it's been estimated to be a $350 billion problem that because of those silos, miners actually lose productivity. I'll give you a quick example of what we're talking about. The drill team may drill really well, and they've thumbs up, they've saved costs, drilled, but they didn't drill quite as far, or quite as deep, and they didn't quite reach the ore body. The blast team come in, separate team, but part of that process, and they charge and do the blast, but they may take shortcuts to save savings on their blast. Thumbs up for them, they've done well, they've got the blast done. The poor old dragline and other machines now, as you move into the load and haul process, they can't handle the size of what we call fragmentation, those big rocks. It's too big for the trucks, or it's too big for the loading tool. So now the production starts to slow down, it becomes off plan, they can't handle that size ore body, but they manage to get it through their load and haul process. They rub their hands, we've done our job. Now the poor old processing plant's got to handle poor product, too large, too much material, and they flush a lot of the product away depending on the processing. My point is, in between all those individual silos, money's lost, production is lost, resources are lost, and that's where I come up with the 350 billion, or I didn't, but a consulting house has done that analysis. So where Dakota's focused, and what I'm really excited about, is if we can join those silos together at an enterprise level and build a decision support tool where we have humans in the loop, still part of that decision process, and solve that problem to get actually the industry to understand the implications of all those poor processes and the impact as it all snowball, so to speak, rolls downhill, that would be an exciting project for Dakota, and that's where we're positioning ourselves in the market. As I said, the mining industry's been trying to crack this nut for more than 20 or 30 years or more. In fact, I was reading a paper last night written by a mining company 21 years ago, still working out how they solve this problem. But the exciting thing about today is we have the technology, we have and the analytics, we have the data now, we have connected assets. We still rely on spreadsheets and so forth to get the data in, but we actually now have it coming in live from connected assets. Now we've got satellite technology and so forth. So we're on the cusp of being able to crack that nut and save the industry a lot of money across its production, be more effective, more economical, more environmentally as well, and actually drive huge benefits to the mining industry. And so that's where Dakota's positioned. And we have built our prototype platform, trying to start to join that together. And that's been done by a lot of smart people that have either got an IT background, a data science background, ironically electronical engineering background, but they did data studies as part of their course. And I could see future skills around gamification and the like come in to help us build those decision support models that we can arm enterprise level leaders in a mining company to solve and improve their production. And I might add just quickly, it actually also applies in mine rehabilitation. As Dakota, we're taking the same technology and wanting to help the world, once you've done the mining, put the dirt back. I simplistically say, we'll help you dig it out more productively. We want to help you put it back more productively, so then we restore the mining back to, or the mining landscape back to how it was. So those skills in data analytics are so important, and we're on the cusp of being able to solve an industry age problem that's been around for 20, 30 years that people have been working on.
Wow. Okay, so I thought it was exciting before that about just the data science, and now I'm so excited about the vision of this project. And what I'm really interested in is when we're sitting here having this panel here in a few years' time, to hear the kind of solutions and the kind of innovations that have happened because of this partnership. And I'm going to ask Kanika, in relation to Project One, which you're involved in, which is the data governance and the data quality, what do you see as the future? What would you envisage this looking like in a few years' time?
Well, I'll start with a lot of work has been done by David and team, so there's good momentum there. I think the next step for us is to identify the gaps in the data governance capabilities at Hastings Deering, which we'll be doing through a series of interviews, and also to identify the root causes of the data quality issues being faced by the organization, so that, and indeed through some of the investigation that we have had till now, silos has been found to be a burning issue. So that's another thing, and hopefully, let's say in a few years' time, we do know how to handle this, and we have a defined data governance strategy for Hastings Deering. So yeah,
Okay.
let's see how we go.
Thank you. Well, it's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out and to hear of the great outcomes from that. Certainly something that's a challenge for so many industries in so many different domains. And so what happens in this project will certainly be a role model and an inspiration for many different areas that are facing these kinds of challenges. So I'm going to ask the final question, my final question, hopefully not yours, but I'm going to ask the final question of Charlie. I'm going to ask Charlie, what do you think is really going to be that gives businesses confidence to adopt data science in industry, but also just in Brisbane and in Queensland?
So I think if we think about the data transformation that's occurring and how it's a great big revolution, at the moment we're at the forefront, I guess. We're at the beginning of this revolution. So over the next 20, 30 years, we'll see data really transform and mature, and we'll see the industry grow and evolve. And we'll see some amazing things, improvements in productivity, improvements in the way we work with data and how we do things, and just do things much better. So I think we'll see Queensland hopefully emerge as a leader in data science, particularly with the Olympic Games coming, and we've got so much opportunity there. All the environmental problems, hopefully we can really tackle some of those key ones, help think about some of those solutions, even though I don't know if we'll ever solve our climate problem, but it's something that we can be working on and helping to improve. And having an organisation like Hastings Deering at the forefront, based here in Queensland, is just so incredibly important, not only for the industry, but for the university and Queensland as a whole. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shelley. Are there any questions from the group? There's no questions online at the moment, but any questions from the people here? If you have a question, please come forward to the mic, introduce yourself, and then ask the question.
Hello, my name's Doug Eady from Hastings Deering, and I guess I have a question for the QUT group, and that's really what do you see as the relationship between data governance and data collection? And the context of that is that we all deal with data that is, let's say, challenged by its collection process. So therefore our governance and our data collection, how does QUT see those?
I'll jump in. Sorry, didn't work for a minute. So I think data governance is fundamental to ensuring that you have a good data collection. If you're not actually got the standards and processes in place to collect the data, hold the data in the best way, you're not able to then analyse the data, because data governance is like the starting point, right? If you don't understand that and have that right, you're not going to get, so it's almost like garbage in, garbage out, I guess. So you need to have that foundation so that then you're getting the quality data coming through and you're getting the detailed insights, those actionable insights. So everyone needs to move away from lots of data. We just need every piece of data up on a dashboard. No, we need to move away from that towards actionable insights delivered at the right time in the right way.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. And Kanika?
Yeah, so there are many dimensions of data governance, or security, and then architecture, models. But yeah, data lifecycle is an important dimension of data governance. And within the data lifecycle, I think the first stage would be data collection. So we need to have the right data collected in order to be able to analyze it. So there's a very big relation, I would say, between data collection and data governance, because you need to collect the right data, as Charlie mentioned, to have the right insights. Yeah.
And Doug, I might add to it a real-life experience at the moment with one of our customers. We know one of the first things I say is you need to understand the problem you want to solve to know what data you need to get to then solve that problem. And we're working with them, and I talked about the enterprise level decision support. They actually want us to work with us to build that model out. Hence, so we know what the problem we want to solve for them is. We're now ingesting their data, and they're pretty proud of their data, but there's so many holes in it because we understand what data models we need to solve that problem, and their collection process, to earlier comments, they're not collecting the right data to solve the problem. So we now have to reorientate them back to, here's the problem you need, here's the inputs we need, and then they can go back to their source data, and then you've got your rules in place of what data, what frequency, et cetera, to solve the problem. So I think there's part of your question also requires understanding of, well, what problem do you want to solve to line the data up, as fair to say.
Thank you. Any other questions? David, I can see you racing, but hang on. Okay, go. No, go, David. It's okay. I saw. Was that you who wanted a question? This is a bit like an auction, you know. So no, you go next. Okay, so just edge your way forward so that somebody doesn't sort of pip you at the post. Go, David.
Thanks, Kerry, and thanks to the panel for some really great insights. I'm putting this question mainly to industry partners, because the thing that makes working with data so interesting and challenging is uncertainty. And I would like to know, when you think about data and you think about the future, what are the things that loom large in your mind as being, we're actually not certain about that, we're unsure, that's something we'd like to get a better handle on? What would you say?
Well, I'm not sure this answers your question, David. I'll give it a go. One of the things from an uncertainty point of view, so I've talked about our aspiration for Dakota. One of the things that's helped causing a level of uncertainty, and we're trying to commercialise this, and is the customers becoming very protective of their data and their privacy of their data. And so, on the one hand, they've bought into our aspiration, and they've bought into, gee, if you can solve that problem, and a few of us are trying to solve it. We're not the only company, but there's a few out there. So the industry is a little bit interested in it and excited, but then they've got their data governance and data rules that say, oh no, privacy, I can't share my data. And so we spend then a lot of discussion around, well, how do we facilitate the us ingesting your data or accessing your data? How will we use your data? So one of the uncertainties or problems that's going to face industry is that how do we protect, nurture, share data in a way that we trust it and to actually solve some of these problems we want to solve. So that's sort of how I respond to your question around uncertainty. I don't know if it answers your question, but that's how I respond to it.
Okay. Adrian, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I thought it was a good question. I've sort of, I'm on the other side really, because I know the itch that I've got to scratch. And that purely is that it's a commercially driven decision around cost saving and also greenhouse reduction. And so for us, commercialising our technology, one of the conundrums that we've often thought of, particularly pre the movement around decarbonisation, was everybody said, listen, we understand the true greenhouse reduction we're going to get by employing your technology, but if it's going to cost us more, mate. I mean, it's going to be difficult to try to sell to our board if we have to expend more money to get that outcome. Well, the whole world shifted, And, the drive around decarbonisation is remarkable. And we are, again, I keep saying we're so privileged. I really am. It's our technology is cheaper than current diesel by a quantum of 25%. We can give people an immediate 30% reduction in their CO2e today just by making one simple inclusion of our technology. So I know the scratch we've got to itch. And now it's about taking that to market. The challenge, however, then is, and it's interesting George just made that remark around the sensitivity associated with data, and it's quite true. I mean, particularly when there's such a large economic cost associated with potential carbon trading in future. The validation of the data sources and its integrity. And although, we really turn the dial to try to help people get that reduction and those benefits, they don't necessarily want us to participate in the gathering of that data nor the presentation of it back to them. And so it's trying to get a level of trust and B, the access of good talent in the business that we can at least theoretically give them what the quantum of that benefit would be, but we would ask them to challenge that data source.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Please.
So my question's probably more
Can
directed...
you introduce yourself?
Sorry. I'm Julian Tabe, and I'm a business graduate at Hastings Deering. And so my question is probably more directed at Charlie in data science sort of realm. And that is, with data science and sort of the complexities about data science, are there any other industries that can be leveraged and used in parallel with where Hastings Deering are going with their data?
Yes, obviously, because data science is actually something that goes across just about any industry, and everyone's revolutionising in the data science space. So there's lots of learnings that can come from many, many different areas. So just some of the places that I can think of off the top of my head is like what is happening in government, what is happening in the Olympic Games, major infrastructure management and things like that. So these are some key projects that I'm involved in, and then I know that they're going to be working on exactly the same stuff. I know Mets Ignited is doing some wonderful things as well, and so I think linking there, like learnings from them would be fantastic, but conversely, what learnings do you have for them? I think it is a little bit about partnering so that you can learn from each other and to become the best at data science as you possibly can.
And I might add just a different dimension I've seen, and I've been with Hastings for about 9 years. The fixed asset industry and oil and gas and process industries have been using data analytics and so forth and SCADA systems for a long time. The difference in our industry is our assets move, and they're not always in the one place. And you track them, and 1 minute they're in Queensland, next minute your customers move the asset to Western Australia to be in a mining project, and they still want the asset to be connected. They want to know what's going on. So, as a dealership, it's static in terms of it doesn't move, and the data can still come in, but the assets we're trying to manage in some respects and support are actually moving around, and someone plotted them for me the other day, and some of them not even in Australia anymore. They're pinging in Papua New Guinea, or they're pinging somewhere else. So one of the complexities, depending on the problem you're solving for that customer and work with him, is the assets move, unlike process industries and other industries I've worked in where the assets didn't move, the material moved, but the assets are fixed. So that's one of our unique challenges, and I think why there's some great learnings, as Charlie said, from other industries. It's how we apply it to these moving assets is a challenge for us.
Thank you. Please.
Brett Sholay from Hastings Deering. Probably not so much a question, more an observation. George articulated earlier sort of establishing harmony from an end-to-end mining process, which is a nut to crack of some fair size that's got a fair few rub points and opportunities. If you take that back to our business, and I'm looking at some of the projects and the cornerstone and foundation of data governance, it's a challenge to get people excited about that, but it's so important. Project 2 is talking about data science benefits realization. Has there been some consideration about interdependencies between that project and the data governance project to help sell the dream on the importance, because the collection piece Doug made, there's many stakeholders. If we're going to help them believe and understand and subscribe, you're in with a fighting chance. So just an observation maybe of some linkages between some projects there.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to hand to Charlie to talk to that.
There's obviously a very deep relationship between all 4 of the projects, really. They are all interconnected, and we've got some fantastic people who are going to be involved in those. Just pointing out Erwin and Adam and people like that, because some of the work there, like getting that foundation and getting people excited about data governance. I know it's a boring topic, but it's just so incredibly important. And like when you talk to Kanika, just some of the stuff she talks about can make you very excited. Like earlier we were talking about how do we make sure that the data is able to be used, because it's currently the customers and that are too worried about unlocking it. Internationally, there's people starting to work on encoded data. So like, is there a way that we can adopt a process like that within Hastings Deering so that then people can use the data better and more openly? But like, these are all early stages. We're really at the frontier of where this work is going, and we're only just starting on the journey. So you'll see over the next 3.5 years as the partnership evolves, some amazing things happen, and we won't solve all the problems, but all of these problems will be touched on, and we'll start to work on finding a way forward.
I might just add to that too. I think one of the questions before around challenges and so forth, and yes, facing into the customers' land. Yes, what are the big opportunities? And I think we broadly know as well. But I think internally, I would say creating that culture of really wanting to sweat the assets, sweat the data, and from a digital perspective, that's where you start to identify those unexpressed needs that the customer's looking for. How do you actually know what the customer needs before they know what they want, right? And I think, to Brett's comment and question, creating that culture internally around data is very challenging, but I think that would be one of the biggest hurdles or opportunities that I see that we're facing into as an enterprise.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those questions. That was excellent, and I think it's been a fantastic panel discussion. I'd like you to thank the panel, and then they can step down. Thank you very much. Okay, we have the one last exercise before we can eat, and this is just a short exercise, but it comprises 2 parts to it. So there's going to be 2 short exercises, and this involves everybody here, people online. Oh, hang on, we have a question online, and I'm so sorry. Okay, the question online is about, I can see that this is weighted towards customer deliverables and fleet performance and global issues. I also see high value in predictive analytics to improve the safety performance. And is this in scope? Charlie. I'm sorry, Mark, that we didn't get to this.
To respond to that, yes, it is in scope, particularly in Project 3. There'll be some predictive analytics occurring in that space to help us look forward to how market trends are occurring by bringing in multiple different linked data sources, as well as doing some interesting Bayesian modelling, which Kerry is an expert in, around how we can fill holes that we don't know, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Great. Great questions. Thank you for the online question. Thank you for the questions from the floor. So what I want to do is these 2 short exercises. It's just going to be 5 minutes each. And in the middle of it, I'm going to clap and you'll know that to change. But this is what's going to happen, is that I want you to look around and find 2 people that you don't know, preferably from the other side. Okay, somebody you don't know, and I want you to talk at them, introduce yourselves and get to know them, and then I'm going to clap and you've got to find another 2 people, okay? So just 10 minutes to do this and then we'll eat. Okay, go. Find 2 people that you don't know and talk to them.